Well, hello, you guys. Welcome back to another episode of Authentically Ashtony. I am so excited because I have Amy here with me today, and she is the owner of 3D Lash and Brow. It is a beauty school. She actually owns 2 beauty schools. And so we are going to be talking to her today about all things just life, motherhood, and building a $1 million business. So Amy, thank you so much for being here today. I'm super excited. Why don't you go ahead and just tell us a little bit about you and all of the great things.
Awesome. Well, first of all, thank you for having me. I am so excited.
Absolutely.
My name is Amy Ledgister. I'm the founder and CEO of 3D Lash and Brow. We are the #1 private beauty college in Dallas, Texas. We started in 2018 with only 3 students, and then we grew to over 300 very quickly, and it's been quite the journey. I also am a faith-based mentorship program for other women who want to start their own businesses. It's called Aspire with Amy. And so now I'm just in a season of being a CEO, a boss, a mom, a wife, all of the things.
Girl, a lot.
A lot of hats, but God is good. So yes.
Yes. Well, I love that. Love that. So I love it because one thing that I have always noticed about you that I absolutely love, and it's so funny because when we first originally met, like I actually told my husband, I was like, I really feel like God just put Amy in my life for a particular reason. And I was like, I don't even know if like maybe this season, like we'll immediately kind of like click it off. And I know we had both met at a time where we had both, I had just had a baby. You were getting ready to have a baby.
Yes. Yes.
Right?
I literally gave birth 6 weeks before I met you.
Yes.
So I had a newborn.
Yes. Yeah. And it was like, but I knew there was something just super special about you. And so I will say one thing that I love is you have what I like to call like this quiet confidence and also just, yes, look, y'all, Amy, and I love the way too, like you can read a room and just all the things, right?
Okay.
I'm what they would call like an empath. So I can typically like pick up on people and their energy and things. And so that was something that always drew me to you because I feel like when you are, as you elevate, which I feel like we all should continue to be growing, you want to get around people who do stand out for you or who you see really moving forward in a positive direction that you would want in your own life. And so I think you can really pick up on those same habits that they sometimes like will have. Yeah. And so I love that because I will say, and I've been in this season where I've really been trying to be more intentional about just like my environment and where I go and the mindset behind it. So will you tell us a little bit about what you think people don't get when it comes to building a business and especially a beauty school and like the mindset around it? Because a lot of people feel like mindset, community, it's like fluff, like, oh, okay, I keep hearing it. Yeah. But talk to us about how important that was for you in your journey.
Well, that's a really good question. Thank you. Mindset is everything because I think people don't realize when you become an entrepreneur that it's not always rainbows and butterflies. I always say that. So you have to start with your mind first. You have to believe and you have to partner with God. Okay. Yeah. He has to give you the faith and the vision in order for you to succeed. Yeah. But once you have the right mindset, the faith to believe in yourself, to go for it, you also have to create systems in order to sustain it. Yeah. All right. So having the vision is having faith, but obedience is keeping it running well maintained and creating those SOPs or standards of operations or whatever you need in order for it to be duplicable without you being there 24/7. Yes. And so that took me a little while to learn.
Yeah, no, I agree. That's something I'll say I'm just beginning to learn like within the last couple of years and still trying to like fine tune that. Yes. Because I think the other thing is as a mom and as a wife too, trying to navigate it all is really hard. And so I know you and I sort of have a similar journey of like just being a mom at a younger age and really having to be that single mom and navigate and get out there. Tell us a little bit about that journey for you and how it really impacted where you are today, the decisions that you made and all of that.
Wow, that's a great question. Thank you for she's bringing it way back to my single mom days. Oh gosh.
Look, I know, right?
You know what? I was a single mom. I'm from Wichita, Kansas, and I was a single mom. It was just me and my little baby girl, Charlie. But I remember being pregnant, 9 months pregnant, alone in an empty apartment. I could not afford food. I didn't have electricity because I could not afford to pay the bills. And I remember it being winter time and I was just so cold. I was freezing. And just thinking to myself, how did I get here? Like, I'm supposed to be a mom. I'm bringing a newborn baby girl. I don't even have clothes for her. Like, and I'm about to be having this baby in a few weeks. And so it just hit me that, what am I doing? And I remember when I was in the hospital and I gave birth to her, it just kind of clicked. I was like, my life is no longer mine. Everything I do from here on out is for my daughter, for my legacy.
Yeah.
And I remember after I had my baby, I literally had to go to work in 3 days. And I had her in the wintertime, and you're not supposed to bring a baby out in the wintertime. But I had no other way to support us. So I remember taking her to the babysitter's house on day 7 of her being born. But I did what I had to do. Day 8, she had a fever. And I had to take her to the hospital. She had got RSV, which is one of the deadliest viruses for kids, right?
Yeah.
And it kills thousands and thousands of children every year.
My daughter had it when she was a baby too. Yeah.
It's so sad. And so she was hospitalized, and I remember seeing her in the hospital and just really feeling depressed and thinking to myself, God, if you just get us out of this situation, like, I will never depend on a man or depend on anything other than you to help me, to save us. And so once she healed and we got out of that hospital, everything changed. I had to change my mindset. I had to say, this is no longer about me. It's about my daughter. And so from there, I knew I had to invest in myself. I had to go back to school. I became a dental hygienist. And then there was no jobs in Wichita, Kansas. So I had to decide to move as a single mom by myself. Here I am, like 24 years old with a 3-year-old daughter. And we moved to Dallas, Texas by ourselves. I didn't know nobody. Not a soul.
Girl.
I had not even seen my apartment until I moved in. But it was the most beautiful apartment. God gave me community. And so single mom. Once I moved to Texas, I hit the ground running. I was like, I'm gonna make this happen. There's too much opportunity.
There's no other options.
Yes, other options.
Yeah, and I think that it takes sometimes us getting to that place where you don't have any other option. And a lot of people don't understand what that can look like, feel like. I definitely resonate with you because that's a huge part of my story, just being a single mom. I got pregnant when I was actually a senior, right before my senior year. It was very rough because I was dealing with just now it's such a big thing, but back then it wasn't. But just so much bullying and just the drama. I would have moments where it's I didn't even want to go to school, right? Because, and my mom is totally opposite of me, where she's super out, just aggressive. She goes, say it like it is. And so mom's like, you better just stand up for yourself and be. And I was just it's hard.
You were young and with a baby.
I was young,
school?
yes.
Oh my gosh,
and at school, yes. And so I remember I had gotten enough credits to where I got out of school at 4th period. So I would get out early. I would take the bus, go to my job, which I found at a daycare, because I was like, I'm going to have a kid. So, might as well. So I would take the bus, then come back home. But I remember I would get up super early to make bottles, get to school, right? And then after I graduated and stuff, it was just going to college, but then even recognizing God put something different in me, right? Because I was always super big into just entrepreneurship, and I want the nice house, I want the nice things, right? But also struggling because I lived and grew up in an environment where I didn't see that. And I was shunned a little bit for it too. Really? So that was such a struggle. And I know that on top of being a single mom in business, the other thing is, as we continue to elevate and as we continue to expand and find our own way, just like you up and move, right? I'm sure so many people had a lot of different opinions about that.
Yes.
And
very vocal opinions.
Right. Look, not paying your bills, but they are vocal.
Right. Literally, you're not helping me with my kid. You're not watching my kid, but you saying I can't move to different states.
Yes, yes. And so that was, I found for me on my journey, and even still, honestly, that's why I love you say it, mindset is everything. It's the mental piece of a lot of that, because it's like, we shouldn't care what everyone is thinking, but it can be hard when it hits, especially when it hits close to home too. Yes. And so I want you to kind of talk a little bit about that, of like what that feels like kind of navigating through, and how someone else who's maybe watching this, right, and they feel like, man, I am so scared to really step into who I really am because of maybe the way I grew up, or what my mom or dad or whoever has to say. What would you kind of like give them on how you even personally navigated that, like the loss of relationships and things like that?
That's a great question. That's a heavy loaded question. Thank you for making my brain really rack up everything. Number one, I would say pray to God and ask for a sign. I think a lot of times we're afraid to ask God for a sign, because once he will tell you, right? But you have to be obedient. You have to listen. You have to take those steps. You have to be
ready for it. Yeah.
Yes. For me, I was very scared to move to Texas. I had already had the plans. And there was one night I'm packing up my things. And as you said, everybody was like, are you sure? You're so young. You don't know anybody there. You don't even have a job. You haven't even seen your apartment. You're going to move with a baby or a single mom. And so I remember one night just kind of letting those voices get to me, and I'm packing my bag, and I prayed to God for a sign. I said, God, give me a sign. I kid you not. Back in the day, I'm older, we used to have music stations on the TV. So if you flip to like 500, it'd be like jazz or R&B or whatever. And so I remember just flipping it on, and all of a sudden on one of the R&B stations, a song by Ashanti comes on. And it's called Kansas. And it says,
oh my goodness.
It says, you got to get out of Kansas. You got to take your chances. You got to get out of this crowd, get out of that 2-bit town. I was like, God, I can't look. If I stay now, then I'm just truly just in defiance. Yes. But I was like, okay, God, I'm moving.
Yes.
We packed up our U-Haul and we left. And if I had not stepped out on faith, I would have not met the man of my dreams. I would have not gotten married and built a multi-million-dollar company.
Yeah.
If I had listened to those voices. So don't listen to the voices. Pray to God.
Yes.
Ask for a sign and listen to the sign.
Yes.
My favorite quote is, how do you know you can't walk on water if you never get out of the boat?
Yes. Yeah, absolutely. And then it's like, you look back to where you are at now, and it's kind of like, if I would have listened to where, and I think that's even what's helped me too now, is when I like look at certain people where they're at, or and where I am, or how far I've come and what I've desired. I'm like, why would I even follow this advice if you're not in a place or space where I am aspiring to try and get to, right? Because you don't even have to like agree with it, but don't tear down the process, right? Because when you're not in business, I feel like people don't understand how much of an extra load that is onto us, because on top of trying to like make sure we make payroll, make sure we make like, I figure it out, like need to for the next month. It's not like a guaranteed check, right? On top of that, and then having to emotionally maintain and manage. And so I want to talk a little bit about, because you said systems like to sustain everything. What are some systems that you see that a lot of women, especially in your industry as moms or just in business in general, that they don't implement, that's costing them a lot of money and time?
That's a good one. I always say the Proverbs 31 woman is the ultimate entrepreneur. So when you read those scriptures, it tells you that in the morning she wakes up early and she sets out the tasks for her servants. Okay. Number one, she has servants. So you cannot do it alone. I have so many women that I've met where they don't want to hire a maid or a cleaning crew. They don't want to hire a chef or a cook. And it's not that they're not good wives that they don't do that. It's just going to allow you to be able to produce so much more. So number one, just delegating the things that you can. That's the biggest part. Hiring a team, having dedicated systems to run your life smoothly, whether you're working as an entrepreneur or if you're just taking care of your home, like
that's
being
the
a
job.
housewife is a full CEO position. Okay.
Listen. Okay.
So just giving yourself the ability to have breathing room and delegate as much as you can. That's the first thing.
Yeah.
As far as systems, once you have your business, I would definitely make sure you have the correct and clear job descriptions and you know what everybody should be doing, because eventually you don't want to be the CEO, you want to be the founder. And so that's what I'm working on towards is making sure that I have every system duplicatable so that way I don't have to be there 24/7 like I used to. I used to be at my school when it first opened from 9 a.m. until 9 p.m.
Wow.
I was like, you know what? I want to have a school that's open for working adults. Which I would have a night program, but I didn't realize that meant that I needed to be there.
Because when someone calls out, it's like, hey,
yes. And it was so hard to find reliable staff in the beginning. Yeah. So luckily I've had the same team for 4 years now. Almost going on 5 years. Yes. So God is good.
Wow.
Yes. So yeah.
Yes. Yeah, I love that. And so one of my favorite books is actually Buy Back Your Time by Dan Martell.
Okay.
You have to read that when it is so, you'll like it. Yes. It's so good. And he actually talks about the first thing you should do is hire an assistant. Like he's like, there's no way you have to, because that will help you start to figure out what other systems are missing and what is duplicatable, what you need, right?
Yeah, absolutely.
But I want to go back to what you said too about like hiring help. So many women that don't want to hire help because that is a thing. However, I think too, there's this 2-part to it because since I was young, I always knew I wanted help. Like, I'm like,
I was the luxury girl from day one.
Me and my cousin, she probably like remembers this. We used to like, when we were younger, we were talking about what our houses were going to look like. We'd be like, we'd have a certain amount of kids, but I'd be like, I'm going to probably be a lawyer or something. So I'll need to hire a nanny. Like that was always in my head. Yeah. But I noticed, right? Like I actually recently in the last couple of years was actually not ashamed, but scared to share that I had began hiring like a cleaner and, just even help as an assistant. And I even remember being like, I just want someone to like order grocery, things like that. And I didn't want to say it out loud. And it's not because I didn't want it. But one thing that I've noticed is that sometimes, and I think especially with Black women, we are shamed for that. Mm-hmm. And we're talked about, and if it's not like men or just other people, then it's the women who they're like, oh, that is just too much. And that's just, it doesn't take all that. Like when my mom, we raised everyone.
Yes. But your mama was tired.
Your mama was
burnt out.
She was tired. Okay. Mm-hmm. And I just don't think that many women recognize how much that will allow you to really operate in your purpose when you take things like that off your shoulders. Yeah. And I think it even speaks to the fact why a lot of women sometimes we do get so resentful, right? And because we've been doing all these things. And so when it's time to go out there in business and interact with other women or build or collaborate or all the things, you can begin to feeling those feelings of resentment or jealousy if you see someone else that's actively, you're like, well, she got just as many kids as me or more, right? Like, or she's running 2 schools, but I still just have like my one business. And it's like, how is she doing this all, right? And so it's like, instead of the asking questions or being willing to pivot the perspective and hire that help, sometimes it's easier, I think, for some people to just judge or to feel those insecurities. And so have you experienced that as you have elevated, like in business, where you've experienced that from maybe relationships around you? And how do you navigate? Like, how do you navigate kind of silencing the haters when it comes to things like that? Or is it just easy for you? Like,
it's easy now. Yeah. I don't care. No, but honestly, jealousy is just misplaced admiration. And so
I like that.
Yeah, it's something that you want, that you see from them or that they're doing. And it may not even be something you want. You just see that they're reaching to a higher level. And so you just have to be mature enough in Christ to say, to be inspired by it, not to be like, okay, how can I do that? So now if I see a woman who's excelling or doing something amazing, I don't take it to where
Yeah.
I'm jealous or I'm hateful. I'm like, this is amazing. Like, how can I do that? Let
Yes.
me be around this person. Let me learn.
How can
let
I
me
serve you
Yes,
and figure out? Because
exactly.
like, girl, what you doing? How are you
Yes,
managing?
exactly,
Like,
exactly. And I had to learn quickly that you mentioned that you're a wife, you're a mom, and you're a CEO.
Yeah.
So no one knows what that's like. If you
Mhm.
work a 9 to 5, it doesn't matter how stressful your job is. If you are running a company of even the smallest magnitude, it is totally different when people's paychecks depend on you. Okay. So the conversation is
Man.
always just going to be different. So I honestly
Yes.
don't talk to people who are not entrepreneurs
Yes.
anymore. I just cut them off in this season of my life. So don't, I crop everybody out basically. Just because again, they do become resentful. They see
Yeah.
that, one friend I had a friend for 10 years. So she saw me as single mom when I
Wow.
moved here in my life group to becoming a CEO, but she would always make these weird
Yeah.
comments. She had a high blood pressure issue. And I was like, hey, I'm going to make some beet juice and get it sent over to you because beetroot juice helps with blood pressure.
Yes.
And she'd make
Yeah.
comments like, are you going to, or is your assistant going to drop it off?
Yeah. And those are the things that,
Like, what?
And
Like, what do you, what? Yes, she's going to drop it off, but that's not the point. You know what I mean? Like, it's just such a foreign aspect to them.
Yeah.
Like, oh, you have an assistant. Like, oh, they pack your stuff, or oh, they book your flights, or oh, yeah. When I'm running a company, the last thing I need to do is worry about these little details about anything that I can delegate, I'm going to. So people are going to be jealous. They're going to see that but they don't see the backside. They don't see that you're working hard.
Mhm.
They don't see the sweat equity that you're putting into this
Yes.
business. They don't see that your assistant just stole money from you,
Oh my
or you know what I mean, or deleted all your files. They don't see that kind of stuff. Like, so
yes.
I don't care what they say. I don't care.
Now, how do you see? I'm getting there. I feel like this is my year of where God is like, no, you just gonna have to, it's oh well. But I think too, something that has empowered me, and I actually, one day you had shared on your social media, and it was like confirmation, but I had already been studying the book of Esther.
Oh.
And, they say like confirmation, it'll come in threes and all those different, things.
Yeah.
And so you had actually did a video and you were talking about how like Esther had pretty privilege,
Yes.
right?
Yes.
That was a part of her, like, though she did have a call, she did have a unique calling, because I do believe that everybody has a different unique calling. There was, when you look in the Bible, she was described as having pretty privilege and even undergoing the treatments for a time and like preparation so that she could capture the attention of the people that God needed her to reach.
Amen.
And I remember like that day seeing that, I was like, you know what? that is what, because it was kind of like when you're growing up and you always hear those things of like, oh, well, why do you talk like that? And
Girl, don't get me started.
Yes. And it's like, well, what? I don't have to wear all that makeup, and I don't have to. And I'm like, because I'd always kind of been shy, I will shrink.
Oh, okay.
But it's like God also telling me, but you're holding back a gift from other people who need to see that.
Yes.
Right. And so how do you think you got to that place of just like, was it just your why was way bigger than the opinions, or was it something you sort of had to like work yourself up to? How was it for you, that process?
So it's 2-part. Number one, my sister's mom, she told me something. She was like, anyone or anything that is preventing you from putting food in your kid's mouth needs to be eliminated.
Yeah.
If that's an employee that's not producing, if that's a friend that's hating, or if that's, a distraction that you need to, this is about your kid's future.
Yeah.
Okay. So if me looking pink and glamorous,
right,
bothers you. Okay. If my $1 million mansion, my, luxury
y'all, because
items,
Amy has a mansion. We're not going to just skip off of that.
If these are real things that I have, that I've aspired to, that I've worked my butt off for, if these things bother you, it's not my problem. Okay.
Yeah.
Your opinion of me does not matter. As long as I'm serving God and glorifying Him and everything that I've earned and done, that's the first part. So eliminate those distractions. Think about your children.
Yeah.
What would you tell your daughter or the little girl inside of you when they were trying to bully you in school? Like, look at me now. Look at me now. Okay.
Yes.
You can't tell. Girl. Anyways, so that part. And then, of course, pretty privilege is a job. Like, we talked about behind the scenes that she had to go here, get her makeup done. She's dressed and glamorous.
Yes.
Like, this is not just a wake up and go.
This takes time, y'all.
It takes time to look this good for us, okay? But we're also managing our kids, our husbands, our businesses. So, but people recognize, that's the issue. People recognize that you are putting in work that they are too lazy to do.
Yes.
I don't know if you guys know who Sprinkle Shearer 7 is.
Yes, I love her.
Yes, she's amazing. She said getting ready is a job.
Yes.
Looking pretty is a job.
It is. Well, and I love it because Cody Sanchez had this clip that I love her and Layla because, and some women will be like, that's because you're just like way too alpha or you're not in your feminine, which I disagree because I do think we can have different callings. Absolutely. I could be called to lead and you're called to just lead at home. Not saying that it's less than, but that may be your space. But she was saying how she was reviewing things and stuff and looking at the statistics, and women who wear makeup make more money and all of that. Yeah. Ashley Kirkwood, who is another one of my favorites, she was like giving one of her keynotes, and she was like, y'all, I went back and I reviewed my videos, and she said what you just said, some of y'all are too lazy to get up and put in the extra work. And she said, I went back and reviewed my clips one time because I'm like, I don't like all the makeup all the time, but I review and I'm like, well, I get more views when I put on makeup. Yeah. And I think that where a lot of people go wrong too is because that does not have to be you. But my rule is always that you cannot complain and say that, oh, well, I haven't, or this person has this because they do that, or they don't, or this. You cannot complain. And you also cannot say that you really want to build a real business that actually runs without you, because that is going to require you to step outside of what maybe you like to do.
Yes.
And actually do what works. There comes a point where like numbers, data, it matters. Yeah. It all matters.
First impressions matter.
Yes.
When you see a woman, if I saw you walk into the room, I would be like, wow, this lady is luxurious. She takes care of herself. She's putting in the extra effort. It makes everybody else kind of tighten up when someone walks in like that, or when a guy comes in and he's like built and you're like, oh man, you could tell he's like at the gym, like putting in those hours, eating discipline.
Yes.
But we're not saying that you're not going to succeed if you don't.
Yeah.
Get your face beat by a professional makeup artist
all the time, right?
Every week. Yes, but we are saying that in order to go to that next level, you do have to put yourself more out there. You have to level up at some point.
Yes, yeah. I agree. I love that, and I think too something that you mentioned that I love was you talked about how even with the pretty privilege and navigating like those rooms and the spaces and people feeling like you said, like your friend, it's kind of like those sly comments, right? Mm-hmm. That sort of come. And I think it's also comes from a place of people also not understanding really the true being of who you may be as a person or who God's called you to be. And I think that that's so important when we meet a person. I always say my job is actually to discern what God is doing in that person's life. Because if I could try to, then I know, right? Like, how do I show up for you, and how do I help support? Because I do think the other thing for us as Black women too, we are so used to doing it all. Mm-hmm. And so sometimes it's like you just can't help it, or it looks like, So what would you also say to that person who's struggling with, it's like, I want to, but how do I start to let go of control of things, like even in your house and stuff like that? Like, how did you begin to let go of control of some of the tasks and the tools that typically someone would be like, you should do that because you're the wife or the mom. Right. But you're like, child, look, I'm fine.
I would say, again, pray about it. And then, of course, read your Bible. Like, it's literally in there. The Proverbs 31 woman, she took care of her home, but she had servants.
Yes. Y'all listen. I told that, look.
She took care of her home, but she also had servants. Yes. She also was running a business. It says that she seeks for a field and buys it out of her own earnings. Yeah. Okay. So she is looking for real estate property. Yeah. She buys it on her own. She plants a vineyard or an orchard in there. Yeah. Like, this girl's a hustler. She's profiting. She's selling things. Mm-hmm. So you can, and she's dressed nice. It says she wears royal purple and linen.
It talks at purple. Okay?
Yes. So that means she got money because she's selling and she's looks luxurious. If you're wearing the color purple,
it's for it's luxury,
wealth.
power,
It's wealth.
yes.
And if you go back into the Bible, everybody was meant to be wealthy or was wealthy. King Solomon, the richest man in the world, right?
Yeah.
King David.
Yeah.
Okay. God does not want us to be broke and busted down because he does not get the glory when we are not operating in our excellency.
Yes.
So number one, get over yourself. Okay. Because you're holding yourself back. Get in the Bible.
Yeah.
Read the word. If you follow the word, then you'll follow that. Get money. Okay.
Yes.
Find yourself a mentor. Okay. If you see somebody, again, don't have that misplaced admiration. Say, if you're Ashley, I love what you're doing. I see you on social. You inspire me. I see what you're doing. I'm like, okay, let me be around people like this who are like-minded, who are doing something that I want to do. So get yourself a mentor, whoever it may be. But whatever you want to excel in, you need to have that support.
Yeah.
And then just block out the noise. Like,
yeah. And I always say too, like, how do we serve the kingdom if we are poor? I can't.
You cannot.
I need Eric Thomas. He had this clip that I loved, and I actually mentioned this in a previous session, but he has this clip and he talked about how, like, you know, when a need is right, there is a need that needs to be met. How sad is it for you to claim to know God who is abundant in everything and you can't even meet the need? Like, some of us are not even in position to financially be able to meet the need. And so that has always been a huge thing for me, because I did kind of grow up hearing the things of where it's like, you know, rich people are evil, or blessed is the poor, like taking things so out of context. And it's like, no, the way that we actually build up the kingdom is we need to have money and wealth. I truly believe it is not just, people don't realize it's not just money. It's the quality of your entire life. That's what, so even for the people who it's like, they shade us because it's like, oh, you have the assistant or the servant. However, that saves my sanity, right?
And everybody else's, if we be honest.
Yes. I'm like, even when it comes to therapy and things, I'm like, I invest thousands and stuff like that, because it's like, that is emotional wealth.
Yes.
What do I look like trying to go in a boardroom and I don't know how to like reserve myself or walk into a room and have just the soft skills to listen or to communicate, or, you know, to position myself in a way where people are able to understand me, right? That takes me not being overwhelmed, not always having to stop and then start again, or, you know, back up in it. And so I think too, it's like, look at it from a place of, even if you're still struggling with talking about it from a money standpoint, don't you believe that from the standpoint of even being wealthy, like as just emotionally or physically, that is important. So yes, I love that.
Let me piggyback off that.
Yes.
You mentioned Queen Esther, and you mentioned making sure you're in a position to help other people. So Queen Esther, for those of you who haven't read, she was an orphan, and she was chosen to go to the palace to see if the king wanted to marry, if she was going to be selected. And so she spent all this time preparing herself, getting the beauty treatments, like you mentioned, learning, getting her mindset, her skills together. So as she presented herself to the king, you know, God showed favor to her, but she was beautiful, right? She looked great. She smelled great. She was smart, you know, so he's like, that's the one. Okay. But even though he chose her, she ended up saving an entire generation of people. Okay. Because there was somebody, an enemy, a hater. He was hating. He was so mad about all the Jews and Esther and everybody. So he was trying to kill an entire nation. But because Esther was put in a position and her beauty and everything, she was able to go in to see the king. He let her, number one, he didn't even let people come in. So she was able to go into that boardroom, positioned properly, looking beautiful, able to communicate effectively because she had invested in herself, skills, and she was able to save a nation. None of the Jews were killed because of this hater who ended up getting himself killed, right? That's what happens. They ended up getting themselves put on a pole. But basically, your ability to help God's people is if you position yourself to be in that wealthy, prosperous place. Okay.
No, that's so good, because You're right. Like it's positioning. And now, like you said, though, too, the mentorship, because I know a lot of y'all do not like to, you're like, well, I'm not spending that much money. Like that's another thing. Even investing in your business, some people can think that is crazy. But I'm like, well, how do you want to have a business and you won't invest in it? Because I always say that if you are not willing to invest in your own business, why would somebody else invest in it? Right? Like you can't ask me for more money than what you're willing to even put in or front for yourself. And so how important is mentorship and just really taking a chance on investing in that? Because I know, girl, look, even me as a single, I was so determined though. I was always like, well, just going to pay for, I mean, even now, sometimes my husband's like, what? I'm like, he's like, a new thing?
Yes.
I'm like, we got to.
My husband says the same thing. I'm always taking brow classes and like, another one? Like, didn't you just take this class? You can never stop investing in yourself. And as Ashley mentioned, mentorship is pivotal. It is a cheat code. Your mentor should have already experienced things that can help you navigate and prosper quicker with the help of a mentor. They know the ins and outs. So you need to be willing to pay. If you don't pay for the advice, you're not going to pay attention, right?
No, you're not. So
you have to invest in your mentor, okay? Yeah. And there's not one mentor for everything. You should have a mentor for multiple things in your life. Okay?
Yes.
And some people, like you mentioned, they're like, I don't want to pay for a mentor. Look at the cost of this mentorship program or whatnot. But you have to think about the experience that they have. And when you look for a mentor, make sure they are living the life that, or they have actual tangible successes in what they're mentoring you in. Okay. Yes. So for me, I have a mentor for social media, for on-camera presence, Tiffany Hendra. I'm looking for my mentors for 2026. So there's different mentors for everything. I have a personal trainer because I need my body. I need to be held accountable to get in that gym. So every level of your life, you should be having a mentor to accelerate.
Yeah, no, I love that. You are exactly right. And I love that you mentioned having someone for every area because y'all, I have someone for every area. Like my mental health is one. Like I recently had discovered like intense breath work and I realized how that was like unlocking so much more in me since I knew God was calling me to be more present and like more seen this year. I actually even invested in like a confidence coach.
Okay. Yes,
like,
absolutely.
And then business, like you said, I will say this though, too, make sure your mentor also always has a mentor. Like the coach needs a coach.
Absolutely.
Because
that's a good point. I never thought of that.
All of us should always be learning because, and I have been grateful to have great mentors that have always even told me too, you should outdo me. Like it does me no good if you don't go out there and execute on what I asked you to do. Like I even had one of my mentors where I remember she was like the best thing though that happened. She was like, you're not coming back and paying me another dime for something until like go do what I already like sent you to do. And so I would say you really want people like that too, who, and that just shows that they're so confident in their journey that they're not going to give you that surface level stuff because some people will try to coach you in a box, right? Because they may see the potential that's on you and you're thinking that it's maybe that mentorship you're getting from someone who's up above you, but you may start to realize really you're sort of getting mentorship from peers. People that have not really even excelled past you. So if you want a higher result, you've got to really like step out and be willing to risk it. And in every area, because I think even spiritually, we need someone to help keep us accountable and hold us there. So I love that. So now I know that you have a mentorship program. What is like the ideal personality or skills or like the ideal mentee? Like, what are you what's the thing? You know how people are like, I can work with that. Like, even if,
That's a good question. I haven't actually, so I own beauty schools and most of my mentees are people who want to open up their own school. So usually the person who wants to open up a school already kind of has a mindset of a hustle. They're already on a salon or they've, been behind the chair.
Okay.
So I've never had to kind of narrow it down to, and everybody's no one's ever been lazy. Now, if I do get a mentee who's just not doing anything, usually that first consult call, they'll be like, no, this is too much. I don't want to open up a school.
He ain't playing no games, y'all.
I don't think this is for me, and that's okay because not every mentee or mentor are matched,
Yeah.
But I just pray that whoever God has for me that I need to help, that they're sent my way and that I'm able to help them the best of my ability. I didn't know back when I opened my school the power of a mentor.
Yeah.
I didn't know. And honestly,
it was a shortcut.
It was a shortcut, but honestly, there weren't that many people in my lane.
Yeah.
And those who were in my lane were gatekeeping. They were hating.
So you pretty much created the lane, like you sort of set the standard. And I think that's always beautiful too.
Thank you.
But that's harder to navigate sometimes in the beginning because you're like, well, wait, who do I have to look at?
Yeah.
And I remember one of my mentors telling me one time, I was like, do you think that there's anything out here that I could be looking at and trying to kind of see like the way they're running things or how I should do things? And she was like, unfortunately, I don't really think there's anything like what you're trying to create. So she was like, you're just going to have to be the blueprint. It's like you're going to have to just,
literally,
and see how it falls. So, and that takes another level.
It does.
Of strength.
It does. But thank God for ChatGPT now, right? Oh my God.
Yes. Look, now when it comes to that, I love that you brought that up. How do you feel about leveraging, right, these new resources that we have to really accelerate the systems and maybe even for some people like lower overhead costs in business? Because
girl, every day I'm like, who can I let go? Because I'm going to give me somebody overseas and I'm going to get me an AI.
Look, listen, I don't know now. I am done with the I'm like, it's been stressful.
Okay. Managing overseas is challenging, but with ChatGPT, like I kind of have, like it says she wakes up early, she sets the tasks for the servants. So it's just a matter of follow-up. That's the biggest thing about managing people is the follow-up. Because we literally will have a meeting. Me and you talk, this is what we're going to do.
This is what we're going to do.
And I check in a few days and they're not doing
they're not even started. And I'm like, what happened?
I'm like, so people say micromanagement, but if you did your job, I wouldn't have to micromanage. You know what I mean? So now I'm like, nope, send me a follow-up here. Where are we at? I don't even play. I pre-schedule texts, pre-schedule emails.
Love that. Okay.
So I'm not even wasting time. Like, I'm following up with you. We have like Slack and all those other systems too. So yes, managing people, especially task-oriented people. But as far as saving the income, and to answer your question, yes, resources always use. If you haven't started using AI, I strongly encourage you to take as much advantage of it as you can. Whether it's chat, whether it's presentations, just learn, take classes. Don't be afraid of it.
Yeah.
It's kind of like when the internet came, everybody was like, oh my God, what is this internet? Or when, DSL, all that kind of stuff. So do not get left behind. Do not be Kmart.
Yeah. Y'all, and you have to look at companies like that where it's like all you had to do was, it's like just get on social.
Yeah, just that's it. You know what I mean? Like, come on, get an influencer. Like, so you have to stay with the times. Like, don't get left behind. Don't get you have to be innovating. So at first I was like, oh my gosh, AI, Terminator, stuff like that. Like John warned us, but no, I'm all about, I honestly am afraid that they would take it away. I can't even imagine my life without ChatGPT.
Yes, girl, no, really.
And the other ones I use, but.
Yes, I'm with you because it's funny because Mila will walk around. So that's my 2-year-old going on 25. She will walk around with her little fake pink phone. And it's so bad that now she's like, hey, bestie. I hate that because that's how I'm like talking into chat.
Oh,
I'm
really?
like having a moment.
Okay, yes.
Because I'm one of those where I have a lot of really like powerful thoughts just sporadically.
Yes.
And so that's why chat helps me because it's like, it's my idea, but I'm like, hey, make that sound right.
Exactly. Girl, like this, people should take classes on chat because I can't even believe I still come across people who are not using chat or who don't know what it is. Its function. So AI is the way to go. Like, I don't even know what I would do if I don't even know. I'm not even gonna think about it. Obviously, God works everything out, but right now I am trying to take as much advantage of chat and AI to create as much as I can while I can, because before they raise the prices. If they said chat was $500 a month, I would still pay for it.
Yeah. No,
honestly.
Because you have to, and that's in that book, Buy Back Your Time. Dan Martell, it's a formula of like, I would rather, for me, even like with cleaners at my house, it is important to me to have an extra $300 to $400 a month to have my house clean, because my mood gets thrown off, because if y'all didn't come in here and get my refrigerator together or my countertops, like,
oh my God,
how I want it, it might be at a day where I have like a podcast taping or something, and now I'm mad, now I'm frustrated. That can cost me money. You don't see it like that on the surface, but I'm like, that's money, right? And so you have to really like formulate it like that too.
Absolutely.
Yes. So now I know we talked about so I know Nick, your husband, Nick, he helps you out. He's so hilarious, you guys. Both our husbands are Scorpios.
They are so funny.
Yes. They're a mess.
Yes.
But how is it with like just teaming with your spouse? Like, tell us what that is like for the other wives out there that are, trying to build a business and with their partner. I know that's a different journey.
Yeah. So my husband is amazing. I literally say he's my vision board come to life. I don't think he signed up for this entrepreneurship journey when he met me. He didn't know what was entailed, because it is a lot, when you're running a company. He was actually working for the police department when, I started my school and everything, and eventually just got too busy, and it's hard to trust people. I'm like, hey, I need you to quit. I need you to come. And because he was already doing a lot for my business. He was doing all the IT, the computers, anything. Like, people see me as the face and but he's definitely the taxes, the COO, all of that. So he's so amazing. But I love it. I could be with him 24/7. I know he's probably like, girl, if you don't go somewhere. But no, having somebody that really has your back.
Yeah.
In business.
Yes.
And is honest with you and will hold you accountable there's nothing that can compare to it, because entrepreneurship is hard. Like you said, there's people that are telling you bad things. There's people that are talking bad about you. There's people that are judging you. There's people, they don't see your real heart. They see, oh, she's just flashing this, or, oh, she, forgot this. But your husband, he sees everything. He sees when you're breaking down crying. He sees when you're having postpartum.
Yes.
He sees
oh my goodness.
when you're, having to keep your emotions, all together. So they see your ups and your downs, and I would not be where I am today without him. I just thank you, God, for my husband. And for all the single ladies out there, I want you guys to make a love vision board. I want you to pray about it. Mine was double-sided because I was, I was literally single mom for 8 years before I met my husband. And honestly, because I didn't see any good marriages, I was like,
same for me. It wasn't a lot around me. To look at.
So I was like, you know what? Once I found a couples that were really inspiring, then I was like, okay, I think I am ready for that. And so I made a vision board, double-sided. I put a date when I was going to meet my husband. There's an Essence article. It said, I met my husband and we married in 4 months. So I met my husband and we were married in 4 months, and it's been 10 years. So nothing is too small or too big for God.
Yes, that is
he's smart.
awesome.
Oh my God, not everybody is smart, he's smart and funny and he's cute. And I put on my vision board someone that can dress, because, oh my God, what I mean? So anyways, he's my vision board come to life. So it's wonderful. I can be with him 24/7 up under him.
Yes, I love it. I love it. Now, what would you say, though, is really important to really kind of, for those who, when they walk into a new relationship, right? Or if it even is with their spouse and they're already in business. Because I know for me, right, my husband, he knew I was already Little Miss Entrepreneur, but I think you're right. When we got married, it was like amplified, and he's like, oh, you really like, you do this, like because he'll be like, well, I thought this, and I figured it out and I've noticed that I do have to be intentional in slowing down and at least trying to like give that piece of communication. But it can also be a little tough, because as entrepreneurs, I think we're super visionary a lot of times, right? And so what advice would you give to women on how they can kind of find not balance, because I don't really believe that like balance is a thing, but find that happy medium in expressing and helping their spouse to understand their creativity and why they're so passionate about the business, or even like bringing them into it slowly. Like, did you slowly incorporate Nick, or how did that work for you?
Those are great questions. So number one, I would definitely say your marriage comes first.
Yeah.
So
Absolutely.
if entrepreneurship is a hindrance in your relationship and that's not their passion, you cannot force.
Yes.
Because like you said, like we have me and Chad are going like this all day long because we just have ideas bouncing.
We're
right?
fire
We're just,
shot.
You know, our Scorpio, well, I know mine, he's more laid back, he's more chill.
Girl.
The last thing
So
he's
nonchalant.
thinking about is trying to build, you know, but he can do all the things.
Yeah.
So I would understand where your partner is at, who they are.
Mm-hmm.
Don't expect them to be you at all. That was hard for me because I'm fire and he's more, you know, water or air. Well, he's water, right? The Scorpios.
Yeah.
Okay. So it's just like I move really fast. He likes to think and take his time, you know, which is good. You need that balance because I would have probably jumped us into so many crazy things, you know, just because I'm ambitious, but you need that partnership, that balance, so I would definitely say, you know, if your husband's not an entrepreneur, don't make him be one.
Yeah. Because my husband, he's in leadership, like in corporate, but that actually helps me in some ways. Because I'm like, how would you fire someone?
Yes.
He's like, oh, I fire all the time. I'm like, really? It's not. He's like, yeah.
Men have it easier though.
Yes. Or he's like, you just need the back end of it because he's a numbers person. Yeah. So that is like, I'm already starting to see, because he does want to like go into that space of being in business for himself. So I do start like telling myself in the back of my mind, I'm like, oh, you'd be really good at like, you know, doing this behind the scenes. Yeah. So
you could plant those seeds, but don't try to force, literally plant the plant. Yeah. That's the thing. Cause I think men sometimes can, you know, they need to do it on their own pace. You don't want to force anything.
Absolutely.
Yeah. And then as far as, what was the other question, girl?
And I was going to say, did you slowly kind of like incorporate him into,
no, you need to quit.
You threw him to the wolves.
I mean, he was already building my sites and everything. Anything I needed at the school when he wasn't working, he was there helping.
So it made it
But as
easier.
far as being full time in it, like I had to be like, hey, I need you to quit, you know, like I need you to.
Yes.
I need you. So it was out of necessity because my school had grown so quick, so fast, which is it's a good thing, but it can be a really bad thing if you don't have systems in place to contain that growth, you know?
Yeah.
So I just say he was a lifesaver. He is like, it's just also knowing you have somebody that has your back. So
because you need that in business. And that is, you're right. It's like the best thing.
Knowing women, we have, you know, it's emotions.
Yeah. And they know how to not have those emotions. Because my husband can have real conversations with me of like, look, I know that they are this, and that, but you need to pay attention. Like business, corporate, it's all the same. They all can move the same. Sometimes it's pay attention, right? Yes. So it's like that extra layer of discernment and all the things. Yes. So I love that. So what would you say is really next for you in this season of going into like 2026 and beyond, like where you really see yourself personally and 3D Lash and Brow?
Well, I am 40 years old. I turned 40 this year. So it's a very pivotal year for me. And I decided, again, I'm not worried about what other people think of me. So I'm just really letting God use me how he sees fit. I'm being, as you see, more active on social. Yes, and I really want to help other women. I want to inspire women. I want to mentor women.
Yeah.
I didn't see that growing up. So I want to be that. I didn't see a Black woman with a business, you know, like it just wasn't, I never saw it on TV. I don't think, other than Oprah. Yeah. I can't think of anything.
She's like, so I'll
that's
be kind
Oprah.
of our thing.
I don't know. You know what I mean? Like, why not? But yeah, just putting myself more out there, building more content, building a community. That's my goal. I love what you're doing. You're very inspiring. So I love seeing how you post. So I try to comment and support as much as I can, because it's, you know, people would just be like, you know, it's hard being a content creator.
It is. And I'm even about to let that portion of it go. I think that I really finally found someone, an EA, executive assistant, that I could really like trust and lean into as well, and it was such a God thing, divine moment. So I'm excited about that. But I'm about to start letting that go too. But I think it'll be easier to train that person to be able to engage and speak like me and things, because you can't, like I always say, y'all cannot complain about social media because you are either a creator or a consumer.
Literally. Yep.
And so if it's like, you might as well be a creator and get free money, right? Like if you're gonna
it's not free.
right? Well,
work,
you know,
yeah.
it ain't, yes. But if you're going to be on there, and you might as well use it for something good to make you feel good and all of the things. But we can't expect one another to like always be on there just scroll. It's like, well, then how am I building the making the Zoom? So so I love that. Okay, and then what about for 3D Lash and Brow? Do you see yourself opening any more schools?
Yes, we are in the works of opening up other locations, but we're also going to be franchising. So if you're interested in owning your own academy, being a part of our brand, 10 years strong, 3D Lash and Brow. So send me a message, aspirewithamy.com.
I love that.
Or if you need help with building your business, that's what I also help with. Aspirewithamy.com. And please follow me on YouTube. I'm trying to become a content creator.
And I've seen your YouTube. It's amazing.
I
love how you're doing. I'm like, okay, Amy, look, well, and I know you said Nick helps a lot with that too.
Gosh,
so I'm like, look, Nick got it together.
Yes, he's got it together. But it takes a team.
It takes a team. It takes a team. So yes, you guys make sure you follow Amy and tap in with her. And Amy, thank you so much for coming today and having this conversation. It was so good. I'm super excited for everything that you're doing.
Same
I love
to
that
you.
I get a front row view. Yes. So I'm excited to see you continue to just skyrocket, elevate, and all the things. And thanks for being here. And you guys have an amazing day. Thanks for joining us today. And we will see you on the next episode.